We look at the situation between the present crisis, the present situation, the present emergency in Haiti and in Chile. The damage is greater in Haiti than in Chile. But really, the extent of the earthquake in Chile is higher, it's 8.8. But it has done more damage in Chile than it has done in Haiti. More damage in Haiti than it has done in Chile. What is responsible for that? In Haiti, the foundation wasn't there. Most of these houses didn't have the right foundation. So it was very easy to really get it all swept away. In Chile, it's a little bit different. But essentially, the first question I want to really respond to is that, yes, I agree with you, we must look at that. But we must also look at the next part of it, which says, is 6 years enough? There is a search to go into secondary. We're saying, do that while you move on. So that's my response. And to Guinea-Bissau, I would say, because you haven't got a full cycle, doesn't mean you shouldn't look beyond. It's always good to have a vision. And the vision is about building the right foundation. Okay? So I think I would respond to that first question. And to build the second question, and to build that right foundation, it's not necessarily one in which you must really call for others to do it for you. You can do it for yourself, and among us here, we can work together to help you move to where you really want to go. There is the issue about the impact of this extension that came from the third question. Now, the reason why the first question we always ask is, how do we operationalize it, and what would be the impact? Operationalizing it is simply looking at what you have, starting from where you are. And I think that has already been mentioned a few times by some of the different questions that were raised. We're not asking you to discard what you have. We're asking you to look at how we could ensure that the children learn. Already I have said, the impact of education is hardly felt by the majority of the people in our various countries. When we talk about impact, we only look at the cities. And this is the reason why our cities are overcrowded, overpopulated. Because it seems as if everybody, especially in the rural areas, are saying, oh, we have to go to the city in order to be able to survive. Now that is wrong. The impact of education would be felt when our rural population are able to do exactly what Mr. Adoteli said. When they are able, because of education, they can go back and improve what they have. Today, the reason why there is resistance and why we are still not able to reach the 10% in BFA is because you have these, like in the last photo, skeptics. Education takes away the children from the land. Education takes away the children from the rural areas. Education exposes the children to further disadvantages. So what should we do? We want education that is relevant, education that will make our farmers appreciate farming, education that will ensure that the rural population can improve their state of life. So there is no impact. The question is, BEAP would help us to build a foundation that would ensure that there is impact. Today, much of the investment, whether you accept it or not, and this is a discussion I have had with the World Bank before. Yes, we are investing a lot in education, but I call it wasted investment. If what we put into education only translates into 25% of our children to move on, if the type of investment we make into education, even at a higher level, means only 2% of the population in Africa are able to attain higher education, something is wrong with our education. And this is basically what BEAP is about. It's about questioning. It's about really coming to terms with why Africa continues to be begging, why Africa continues to feel that aid will solve the problem. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we can solve education in Africa if we sit up to the fact that we are just depending on something we do not understand. It's not a question of, like, the challenge, how can we really operationalize BEAP? From what we have, we can use it more efficiently. Our schoolrooms that we continue to construct, and many out there, how are we using it? Our teachers we are training, how do we really prepare them for the challenges? And our families, how are they contributing to ensure that education starts in the home? So it's really a question of revisiting what we do. Through non-formal education, we could, when we bring these adults who never had the opportunity, help them to appreciate why they must learn and even learn from their children. So that gives me the opportunity to speak to the fact that it's not a question of doubting. It's a question of really internalizing that there is a possibility, but it requires a shift in the way we think. It requires that paradigm shift that would appreciate that it's all in our hands. It's a question of how do we organize it. It's a question of believing what's already there and building upon it. So that when aid comes, aid is not the deciding factor. Aid helps you to really further realize a system that you have put in place that would make it happen. There was a question on the methodology, which is linked to that. And I just want to share with you an experience, and it's a personal experience. When we address this issue about quality and relevance, when we address this issue about access and continuity, the issue of financing was really top on the agenda. But do we know that much of what we have, we do not use adequately? Because when we start by looking at the expenditure review, we would realize there's a lot of waste in our system. So if, with what we have, we start improving it to really serve what the priorities are, we very soon will realize that it's a question of efficiency. And we know this. All of us can really speak to it. But we are always scared or afraid to really talk to the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room, for most of our government, is inefficiency, is limited coordination. There was an issue raised about the fact that education is spread over 3, 4, 5 different ministries. It's coordination. B.e.a.p. It's not a question of having the 9 years in the same premises. You already have early childhood, well developed, well thought through, as in the case of Senegal. We are not saying take all of that and put it into your primary school. We are saying revisit the program for the early childhood, and based on the cornerstone, which says that children should be prepared for school, and schools should be prepared for children, we then will make that link. We will really ensure there is the synergies built between early childhood as developed in Senegal. Petite enfance is something I feel is really a great model, and ensure that those children are not just there to play and dance and eat and sing, but as they get to the point just before access into the formal school, they are prepared. Right? Same also for the teachers in the primary school. When you look at the way we distribute our teachers, we take our best teachers to the last part of the cycle to ensure that the children are crammed with knowledge to pass an examination. Are the kids being educated? No. So all your best teachers go to the 5th year and the 6th year to ensure that the children pass. What happens to the first year is neglected. But ladies and gentlemen, if we do not set the right foundation by starting early with early childhood development, the kids won't succeed. The kids won't succeed. So your best teachers should be in your early grades. So it's a question of organizing what we want to do. And it also, like the same person asked a question about ensuring the articulation between formal and non-formal. It's a given. Okay? And finally, there was the issue about the integration of TVET and the harmonization aspect. This is essentially it. TVET is not to be seen as actually setting up workshops and brick and mortar issue. No. TVET is one of orientation. It's one of getting our children exposed to what industry is like and preparing them so that they begin to have the kind of reflections about what it is they can do. That's the first aspect of the entrepreneurship. And it could be introduced in very simple ways. There are curricula already for it. And I may have to stop here because the first set of questions didn't go deep enough. But BEAP is one of centered around what curriculum based on the vision of the country and organizing education so that we realize kind of profiles upon which we can have other layers, depending on where we are at, what we want, and how far we can go with it. Let me stop here, and maybe colleagues, if you have something else to add, you can.